Big Nick plays at center for Belmont. They pick up the W. Let's get right into it last night. Two teams, Teddy, cashing tickets for the first time in the NCAA tournament. Belmont picks up a win. Fairleigh Dickinson picks up a win. Two different type of games here. I thought for one, Teddy, that Belmont carried. They were a little bit in the first half where Temple took the lead, but Belmont the stronger team all the way through. Then we also saw FDU down 13 in the second half. What a great comeback to cash that ticket.
It sure was. Of course, it's much easier to come back against Prairie View than it will be to come back against Gonzaga in the second round. They're 27-point dogs to the Zags. Fairly ridiculous is. And that, of course, they have to travel to Salt Lake City as well. Although Belmont doesn't get an easy task either. They've been taking money all morning, +4 at the opener, down to +3 against Maryland. But that's an early start game. It's only in Jacksonville, so the travel isn't as bad. But the fact that you play Tuesday night and then early on Thursday with travel in between makes it a little bit more difficult for the Bruins, who certainly looked good last night. You talked about Mazinski as being a difference maker for that team. He certainly was. 27 minutes, 8 of 12 from the field. And, we saw the money come on Temple. It looked like the markets didn't think Mazinski was going to play or going to be effective. He was hobbled, but he was good. And Fran Dunphy's last game for the Temple Owls goes down as a loss and a non-cover.
Yeah, Teddy, what's interesting about that game? Because I always thought he was going to be the key, and the OVC probably has to be doing a standing ovation because if Mazinski plays versus Murray State, they probably don't get two teams in the tournament. Now they get Belmont in. The kid comes back healthy, but also watching the early part of the game, it was one of those where if you bet Belmont, you held your breath a little bit because you saw him hobbling. You saw the announcers right off the bat, Teddy, first minute and a half saying, look at the gate on Mazinski out there. Let's see how long he lasts. And it looks like he loosened up. But my question to you is we know how the ankle responded last night. He was able to get through the game 8 of 12. Going to step up a level in competition to the ACC, to the Big 12, it's Big 10. Let's get that correct here. But looking at the game, do you take any stock in now you're playing on Thursday, how that ankle responds, and are you going to watch that to see, because if he's able to play, it's clear Belmont is a pretty good basketball team and be able to give Maryland a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, from all indications, the market certainly expect him to play. The early money has come on Belmont, but do I think it has the potential to affect the Bruins? You better believe I think it does. This is not a tiny little injury. And the fact that it's short rest, short turnaround, with travel in between, with an early start game off a late game, it makes it more difficult for Mazinski to be at or near 100%. And I don't know if he's going to be quite as effective against the Terps' physical front court.
No, we'll have a lot of fun watching those games. And tomorrow, as we do that betting show, Teddy, we'll be live with coverage during the games. Or obviously, it's a tape show, it'll be edited, but we'll have a lot of fun with that going back and forth. Comebacks yesterday, Teddy. Talk a little bit about FDU. The interesting part of that game is Prairie View A&M came into the game one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country, about 31%. So, you like the cap, you like to look at numbers. They can't shoot the three. They're in a new environment on the neutral court. They go 8 of 12 in the first half, but FDU with a nice close to that game. But that wasn't the only close that was surprising. That was a 13-point comeback. There was one in the NBA, Teddy, that was outrageous last night.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to apologize for it. I had a big play on the Nets last night, plus nice. The points, and they were dead. They were turn off the game dead. They're down 25 in the fourth quarter. There have been 4 teams since the shot clock era to come back from 25 points down and win the game in regulation in the fourth quarter. The Nets became one of them last night as Sacramento, with the choke job of all choke jobs. And if you bet the Nets in game, boy, you cashed a nice little money line ticket on that one. 4 times since 1954-55 when the shot clock began. Doesn't happen very often. Brutal if you had Sacto. I apologize you're on the other side of that game, but I ain't giving the money back. I like.
Nope, no apology.
When I'm wrong,
yep, all spends
I cash the ticket anyway.
Absolutely, all spends the same there. Taking a look, early morning Major League Baseball action, Teddy. If we were sleeping, like the majority of the country probably was, you had legitimate Major League Baseball count in the standings type games last night. And how about this? Ichiro plays. You're over in Tokyo. We get a score fest, Teddy. Mariners with the upset short dog 9-7 winner. Closed as high as 140 at most outlets out there with a total of 9. Easily going over both of those. Grand slam in this baseball game. We joked yesterday, Teddy, on the off the record and off the mic segment that we have here saying, you know what? Nobody really saw it. Boy, that would have been a nice game to settle into maybe mid-afternoon, Teddy. Not too many people saw it. Maybe some people waking up buried in the NCAA. But hey, baseball's here, Teddy, right? Rejoice.
Sure, maybe you were joking. I wasn't joking. Baseball does everything wrong. This including, look, it was an entertaining game. I didn't see any of it. All I got to look at was the box score, but that's your opening day. All that being said, Mariners 9 runs on 7 hits. That's taking advantage of their opportunities. They're able to bunch those hits together. And, of course, when Fears gives up a grand slam, when anytime your pitcher gives up a grand slam in a baseball game, you're going to be very lucky to cash that ticket. That wasn't the case, obviously. With a whole bunch of Oakland money coming in. That was minus 120 at the opener, minus 150 or higher at the close. The books made out like bandits on the opening day, opening night, opening 2:30 a.m., whatever you want to call it, the first real game of the MLB season.
I'll tell you about a real game that you're going to want to get involved with, Teddy, here at sportsbookreview.com. The March Madness prizes and poker tournament sponsored by Bovada. $5,000 U.S. total prizes. The grand prize, Teddy, worth $4,000. Monday night free roll. 2 tickets to the Final Four. 2 round-trip flights. 4 nights in a hotel. Spending money and taxis. Just get in the tournament. It's free. We can send you to the Final Four. Sounds like a good deal, Teddy.
Sure, and again, you talked about the free. It's a good package, man. You get tickets to the Final Four, not just a night or two. You get 4 nights hotel. You get plane flights, spending money. It is worth checking out. SportsReview.com. It's not just content, it's contests. And this, a free roll and a good one.
You never know. We might even throw Teddy in there as well as a VIP package with you to include you as well up in Minneapolis and have a great time out there. But first, look, Major League Baseball season. Next week, Teddy, I consider the real opening day. We're going to continue that countdown here at sportsbookreview.com and that betting show. MLB First Look today, those Cincinnati Reds, 67-95, not so good last year. But how about the Reds making moves in the offseason, sitting at 66-1 to win the World Series, but also a team total set at 79. So let's do the math here. 67 last year, 79. We're looking for some improvement here. Puig and Kemp come over from the Dodgers. Winker and Senzel in the outfield to replace Billy Hamilton. Puig gets the start in right field. You got a decent hitting infield. You have a pitching staff that has Luis Castillo to front it, 3.69 xFIP last year. Sonny Gray looking to recreate what he had in Oakland, not what he had with the New York Yankees. I like this team. I think there might be some money to be made and certainly some runs to be scored here, Teddy.
Donnie, you and I are in perfect agreement. I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Being here in Las Vegas for the last, during this preliminary baseball period. Me, I'm around town. I'm talking to this guy. The Reds have a fair bit of buzz. I would say when you talk about losing teams from last year that people, sharp minds, expect to turn around this year, Cincinnati at or near the top of the list. And certainly some of it comes with bringing in some of the big bats. Obviously, when you bring someone in like Puig to go along with Votto and Suarez and Scooter in the middle of that lineup, there's hope for Cincinnati to be scoring runs in bunches. You look at the young hurlers, obviously Castillo and DeSclafani, 2 guys that have shown a lot of promise. And then you bring in Sonny Gray's the big name, but let's not forget Tanner Roark and Alex Wood, perhaps at the back end of that rotation. Roark's just an innings eater, and I don't know if Wood or Gray is going to work in Cincinnati, but both guys have upside and potential. Yeah, this team looks like a 500 team, maybe better. That'll send them over their win total as long as the bullpen can get outs. And no argument conceptually with Cincinnati, like Philadelphia, as we talked about earlier, as being a team we're looking to bet over the total on a game-in, game-out basis. I think the Reds are going to score a bunch of runs. They might give up a bunch as well. And those teams are beautiful news for everyone that likes to bet overs in MLB. I'm one of those people.
I have sources in Las Vegas that say the reason being the Reds are looking for improvement and about a 10-game leap from last year is just the simple fact that Homer Bailey is no longer on the roster. Are you hearing the same thing on the street?
Homer Bailey was as bad as it gets last year. Someone picked him up, though. I think they're sticking him in the rotation.
Yes,
but
Dodgers
we also have a
there,
manager.
Yeah.
And since the manager changed, another manager changed, and since, David Bell, who is the son of a manager, and Buddy Bell, the grandson of a manager, and this is the Bell dynasty. Gus Bell with the Reds way back in the day. So there's a bloodline for the managerial situation in Cincy this year, which, it really can't be worse than the decisions that were being made in recent years. I've not been impressed with Cincinnati's Brian Price or his replacement in recent seasons.